The fist came like a freight train. 280 pounds of Russian muscle drove behind it, Victor's knuckles aimed straight at Bruce Lee's face. The Private Lowe's Angel's gym reeked of old leather and fresh sweat under harsh fluorescent lights. Mirrored walls reflected everything: the cleared sparring space, the watching figure of Mr. Bronson in the corner, and Victor's absolute certainty. Physics guaranteed this. Mass times velocity, force equals destruction. Victor had ended fights in Moscow with less. His shoulders rolled forward, triceps locked, the punch cutting air with a sound like tearing fabric. Bruce stood 5'7", 135 pounds. The math was simple. But Bruce's feet shifted, microscopically, an inch of heel rotation. His head angled 2 degrees left. The fist whistled past his cheekbone, close enough to feel the heat of Victor's skin, close enough to hear the grunt of expelled breath. Empty air. Victor's momentum carried him forward, his balance extending beyond the point of no return. His boot scraped concrete. The miss registered on his face, confusion flickering across hard features. Bruce hadn't moved. Yet his face was no longer there, and Victor was already committed to throwing the second punch. Victor recovered fast, pivoting his weight forward. He drove Bruce toward the mirrored wall with 3 rapid jabs. Left, right, left. Each fist carried enough force to shatter bone. Bruce melted sideways, spine nearly brushing the glass. Victor's knuckles exploded against plaster beside his head, a thundercrack that sent white dust spiraling through the fluorescent glare. The impact vibrated through the floor. Victor pressed harder, hook to the ribs, uppercut, straight cross. His combinations came from Spetsnaz training, designed to overwhelm smaller opponents through relentless pressure and superior mass. Bruce angled out by inches, movements impossibly economical. He flowed like water finding gaps around stone. His breathing remained deep and steady, controlled, calm. Another hook. Victor's fist punched through drywall where Bruce's kidney had been a heartbeat earlier. The mirror beside them reflected Victor's own grimacing face, sweat already beading his temples. Bruce hadn't thrown a single counter, hadn't needed to. Victor threw a left-right combination with everything behind it. The air itself seemed to compress. Bruce dipped beneath both strikes, emerged on Victor's blind side, circled back to center. How could mass and speed mean nothing? Victor's shoulders burned, his lungs pulled harder. Bruce stood 3 feet away, hands loose, expression unchanged. Then Bruce stepped forward, and everything changed. Victor's jaw tightened, the muscle bunched beneath his stubble, visible even in the harsh fluorescent glare. He threw another jab, then a cross, then a hook, faster now. No Spetsnaz discipline, no measured intervals. Just rage translated into motion. Bruce's head moved 3 inches left, then right, then angled down. Empty air where bone should have shattered. Victor's breath came in short bursts through his nostrils, hot and metallic tasting. His shoulders screamed from sustained output, lactic acid flooding muscle fiber. He pressed forward anyway, domination through size. That equation never failed in Grozny, in training compounds where he'd broken ribs and jaws and spirits. Bruce's face remained smooth, no strain, no concern. That calmness ignited something primal in Victor's chest. He swung wider, abandoning the tight guard that kept him alive in Chechnya. Power over precision. His fists carved through space with enough force to dent steel, and met nothing. Each miss made his arms heavier, his feet slower, his vision narrower. Across the gym, Mr. Bronson leaned against the wall, arms crossed over his barrel chest. His expression revealed nothing. Victor didn't see him, didn't see the mirrors, saw only Bruce's infuriating calm and the opening that suddenly appeared in his guard. Victor's lungs burned, his shoulders screamed. None of it mattered. One punch remained, the punch. His weight shifted to his back foot, his hips coiled. Every kilogram of muscle, bone, and Spetsnaz brutality compressed into a single loading spring. He'd thrown this overhand right in Moscow, watched a Chechen separatist crumple like wet paper. In Afghanistan, put a Taliban fighter through a mud wall. In Prague, in Berlin, in back alleys where screams died unheard, it never failed. Victor's fist rose high. His entire frame rotated behind it, 280 pounds of kinetic energy focused into 5 knuckles. The air whistled, sharp, clear, the sound of bone seeking bone. This was physics Victor understood. Mass times velocity equals unconsciousness, the equation carved into his hands through 100 victories. Bruce stood in the punch's trajectory, feet planted, not evading, not moving. Victor's world narrowed to that calm face, those steady eyes. The fist descended. Bruce's expression remained unchanged, his gaze tracking the incoming strike with the patience of someone watching clouds drift. The freight train roared toward the station, unstoppable, inevitable. But what Bruce did next would rewrite everything Victor believed about inevitability. Bruce dropped beneath the arc. Victor's knuckles whistled overhead, meeting nothing. Before the Russian could reset, Bruce was inside, chest to chest, no room for power. 3 strikes landed on the same rib, identical placement, percussion like hammers on a nail. Thud, 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 Victor's left side went dead. The arm dropped, fingers slack, nerve signals severed by precision trauma. He tried stepping back, but Bruce's foot hooked behind his ankle. 280 pounds of muscle fell like timber, the gym floor shuddering under the impact. Victor's shoulder blades hit rubber matting. Before breath returned, his wrist was trapped, elbow hyperextended against Bruce's hip. The joint stretched, 1 degree from catastrophic damage. Victor's right hand slapped the floor, once, twice, desperate. Bruce released immediately. The fluorescent lights hummed. Mr. Bronson exhaled slowly from the corner. Victor lay sprawled, chest heaving, staring at the ceiling tiles as if they held answers. His left arm refused commands. The numbness spread like frost through muscle fiber. Bruce stood, relaxed, not even winded. Victor had sparred champions, survived Spetsnaz selection, broken trained killers in Afghan mountain camps. Every victory came from mass, speed, endurance. None of that mattered now. Something fundamental had just shattered, and the pieces wouldn't fit back together the way they were before. Victor sat on the cold gym floor, left hand cradling ribs that screamed with each breath. His chest heaved. Sweat dripped from his jaw, pooling on the polished wood between his knees. The fluorescent lights hummed overhead. Relentless, indifferent, mass times velocity equals victory. That equation survived Spetsnaz training, survived Afghanistan, survived 3 continents of back-alley chaos where bigger, faster, heavier always won. Physics didn't lie. But Bruce stood 5 paces away, relaxed, breathing like he'd finished a casual walk. Not even a bead of sweat. 280 pounds of muscle sat defeated, while 135 pounds remained untouched. Impossible. Victor's left arm hung useless. The numbness radiated from those 3 strike points, precise as surgical incisions. He'd felt bones break before, cartilage tear, joints dislocate. This was different. This was calculated. A map of his body's architecture exploited with geometric certainty. Mr. Bronson shifted in the corner, leather jacket creaking. Victor looked up at Bruce. The smaller man's eyes held no triumph, no mockery, just calm, waiting. Something fundamental had shattered tonight, not just Victor's ribs or pride. The rules themselves had changed, and only one man in this gym understood what rules now applied. Bruce crouched beside him, the leather mats creaked under his weight. "You expected force against force," Bruce said. His voice carried no pride. "I used angles." Victor's ribs throbbed with each breath. The fluorescent lights buzzed overhead, too bright, too sharp. His fingers traced the tender spot where 3 strikes had landed in the exact same location. "Your strength pushed forward," Bruce continued. "I moved perpendicular. 90 degrees, your power had nowhere to go." The words arranged themselves in Victor's mind like chess pieces. Forward force, lateral movement, vectors canceling out. He'd thrown haymakers designed to crush bone. Bruce had simply stepped off the line. Leverage eliminates resistance, Bruce said. You felt it in the arm lock. Your size became your weakness. The longer your limbs, the more mechanical advantage I gain. Victor's eyes widened. He'd trained to fight soldiers, men who understood brutality, attrition, overwhelming aggression. Every Spetsnaz drill reinforced the same doctrine: superior force wins. But Bruce trained to fight reality itself, different physics. Smarter physics. The philosophy cracked Victor's worldview like ice under spring sun. Every principle he'd built his combat foundation on suddenly looked incomplete, primitive. If this smaller man could dismantle him so easily, what else had Victor misunderstood about fighting, about everything? One question burned in his throat now, desperate and hungry. Victor's knees pressed against the cold gym floor, sweat dripping from his jaw onto rubber matting. The fluorescent lights hummed above. He'd never asked anyone for anything. But the words came anyway, stripped of ego, raw as exposed bone. Teach me. Bruce's expression didn't change, no smile, no satisfaction. He extended his hand and pulled Victor to his feet in one smooth motion, the same hand that had dismantled him minutes earlier. Tomorrow, 6 in the morning, Victor nodded. The simplicity of it struck him harder than any punch. No conditions, no lectures, just immediate acceptance. Bruce saw something worth cultivating, therefore the real work could begin. They bowed. Victor bent deeper than required, feeling the stretch in his bruised ribs, acknowledging the shift from adversary to student. The same ferocity that made him hunt men through Siberian winters now focused on a different target. His own ignorance. Mr. Bronson turned off half the lights. The gym fell into shadow. Victor walked toward the exit, muscles aching, mind ignited with possibilities. He'd spent 15 years perfecting one kind of violence. What Bruce would show him in the coming months would redefine everything violence could become. Dawn light filtered through the gym windows 730 mornings in a row. Victor's hands no longer formed fists by instinct. Bruce had broken that reflex within the first month, replacing blind aggression with surgical precision. The leather mats absorbed sweat differently now. Lighter, cleaner, without the desperation that once poured from Victor's skin. Stop thinking like a soldier, Bruce said during their 300th session. Soldiers survive. Martial artists perfect. Victor's jaw unclenched. His shoulders dropped 2 inches. The transformation hurt worse than any combat wound. Unlearning 15 years of violence meant dismantling the only identity he'd ever known. But Bruce rebuilt him strike by strike, angle by angle, breath by breath. By the second year, phone calls came daily. Corporate executives, film studios, diplomats visiting Lowe's Angels. They requested Victor by name, paid triple the standard rates, because his reputation had shifted from the brute who broke bones to the giant who never needed to. 280 pounds moving with a dancer's economy became unstoppable. His size became weaponized through precision rather than rage. Few understood how the transformation happened. But whispers spread through every dojo and security firm across California. Someone eventually asked Victor directly what Bruce Lee had taught him. The question always came during quiet moments after jobs ended, when cigarette smoke curled toward ceiling fans and younger men leaned forward. What did Bruce Lee teach you? Victor's voice carried the texture of gravel smoothed by water. He made my strength useful, transformed a bull into a chess player. The answer spread like fire through dry grass. Security contractors repeated it in break rooms. Martial arts instructors wrote it on blackboards. Combat gyms hung the philosophy on walls beside faded tournament posters. Technique over power, efficiency over force. Young fighters stopped measuring biceps, started studying angles. Former soldiers unlearned the hammer, learned the scalpel. Dojos shifted curriculum from endurance to precision. The transformation rippled outward, city to city, discipline to discipline. Victor's 280 pounds moved through Lowe's Angels like a legend made flesh. Executives felt safer in his shadow. Threats dissolved before reaching his clients, not through violence, through the promise of perfect violence held in absolute control. Bruce's philosophy proved itself daily in Victor's work. Size didn't matter, strength meant nothing without intelligence guiding it. Any opponent, any advantage, any odds, all fell to the same truth. The right technique, applied at the right moment, defeated everything.